But anyways, 80, we didn't hear from you yet. I'd like to hear
Hi.
some of your story and
Okay.
how you came onto Flat Earth. And you said you have a bunch of Jehovah's Witness family, and I'd like to hear what they have to say about it too, with your belief
Well,
system.
okay, yeah. So my story is I was fairly mainstream up until 2020, but I've always had like a bit of a rebellious side to me. When in my early 20s, I used to go clubbing a lot. I don't know if you've heard of Ibiza at all.
No.
It's a big party island in Spain. It's a
Oh, interesting.
Balearic island. So I did three summers out there in my early 20s and DJ'd and had a good time basically. And actually saw the New York event whilst I was out there.
We
Um,
all
uh,
know where
uh,
we were at that time.
yeah, yeah. And I at that time I was like, wow, this is World War Three. This is World War Three. This is World War Three. And there was
Yeah.
a storm that night in the distance over the sea, and I was like, yeah, look, all all the
It's
things are going
starting.
on. Um, so, but I believed that narrative up until I think I watched what was it the Zeitgeist
Zeitgeist.
yeah, and then I started to have doubts about it, and I kind of knew that there was secret societies and all this kind of stuff, 2000 and the late 2000, the noughties, that kind of era. But I went off to Australia and New Zealand and traveling, and I've been very detached from news, music, all this kind of thing for a long time. Um, so all the dates that you're saying around, after the financial crash, all in 2008, all these kind of sort of mainstream stories, I wasn't paying attention to it, probably because deep down it never kind of resonated with me, any of this stuff. Same with Star Wars. Never seen Star Wars. I've never seen like Lord of the Rings, all this kind of thing. It
You've
just
never seen any of the Star Wars franchise movies,
No,
starting with The
because
New Hope?
for me it was unrealistic. I like real stuff, So even way before I started to look at conspiracy theories, I just looked at the whole Star Wars thing, and I just thought, no, it just doesn't make sense to me, and I've never liked that stuff. Um,
There's a
but
lot of
then
symbolism with Star Wars too, and
Yeah, I've heard this. And I kind of I'd maybe be interested in watching a video of somebody analyzing that kind of stuff. And
oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure that it's out there. So I'm sure someone's done
Hmm.
it. Maybe ODD
Yep.
TV has done it. No, I've not seen it on his playlist there.
I haven't seen
But
anything yet, but I'll let you know if
but
I
yeah,
do.
no. Fast forward to 2020, and that's where kind of like I went down the highway at 120 miles an hour in terms of truth seeking.
Mm.
I believed the narrative for the first month or so, because in my old job I dealt with the Italian market. I'm half Italian. I speak fluent Italian, so I was speaking to Italians that were getting locked down and all this kind of stuff. And I was like,
Oh, in Italy, it was
it's
pretty crazy too back
yeah,
then.
yeah. It's like
Yes.
it's coming here. It's coming to the UK. It's coming to the UK, and it's all going to happen. And it did. Um, but then after a few weeks, it I was I had the BBC on and Sky almost all day whilst I was working. I was working from home. They sent us home, and after a while, it just didn't start to make any sense. Had an argument with my missus as well, because I went to see my mum, and I went into our house and had some lunch when we weren't supposed to, and It's so ridiculous. And then like on the way back to my house, I was like, I had this bit of an argument, and I was like, but I go to the supermarkets every week and I'm surrounded by people that I don't know. My mum, I trust my mum. My mum is clean. We didn't hug. We didn't do any of this. So then that clicked in my head. This thing clicked in my head, but I didn't talk about it. It was just 3 weeks. I switched the BBC off. I switched Sky off, and I was just like, none of this makes any sense to me anymore.
Mhm.
And then I'd say it was early May 2020. My missus watched the Brian Rose David Icke interview that was banned off YouTube, and I had no idea who David Icke was. Brian Rose, never heard of him, no idea.
Oh
And
man.
she said, watch this video. It's 3 hours long, and I said to her, and she's like, I've watched this video. My mind is clear now. I'm not going with this anymore. And I said, oh, you can't change your mind off watching a YouTube video. Or it wasn't YouTube, it was on London Real, but I watched it anyway whilst I was working at it on the side there. And after those 3 hours, I was like, I need to look at other stuff.
Go
I need
down
to
some rabbit holes.
yeah. But I went down the rabbit hole at 120 miles an hour. I
Right,
was
right.
like, boom. Within 7 days, I had completely changed my worldview on pretty much everything. Still,
Mhm.
no idea about flat Earth though.
Right.
Wow.
But this stuff, because of all the information that I found out about, big pharma and secret societies, trying to cut the words in, all of that, the Epstein stuff, everything. It was a proper awakening. I had like, it hit me like a ton of bricks after a week. I was like, I knew it was bad, but I didn't realize just how ingrained into every aspect of every part of society in every country, everywhere.
Everywhere.
So then I was like, okay, I need to open my mind up now to all the possibility of outer space, aliens, and all of this kind of stuff that I didn't give the time of day before.
Mhm.
So anyway, through 2020, I attended a lot of the marches for, the freedom marches,
Good.
and I helped. I don't know if you've heard of Charlie Ward. Charlie Ward on the no.
I've heard of him.
Yeah.
Who is he?
So is a YouTuber who started off with low subscribers and got banned off
Got banned.
YouTube like everyone else. But at that time in 2020, I was helping his guy get people to interview with him. So I was meeting people on the marches and getting them to go on the chats and stuff like that. So it's kind of behind the scenes involved with that kind of thing. So through listening to a lot of these different people that were getting interviewed with Charlie Ward and Nicholas Van all these kind of people, they kept saying, like Jason Q. I don't know if you've heard of Jason Q, but Jason Q. There's Charlie Freak. Not heard of these guys, but they kept mentioning flat Earth, and I was like, flat Earth, it's just okay.
Kept coming up.
Nothing was coming up on my searching, like on the other stuff, it was coming up. I could find it quite easy, but the flat Earth stuff, it wasn't. So
And this was around 2020 that
this was all 2020, and the obviously election, the the voting event that happened
Fraudulent voting.
yeah
Yeah.
that happened, and all of that kind of talk was going on. And then Charlie Ward interviewed David Weiss in I think it was March 2020, March 21. Now, obviously, because I'd been involved in getting a lot of people on there, I'd never heard of David Weiss. I was like, oh, David Weiss, what's this? And that 1 hour conversation with him, like everything that David Weiss said made sense to me, and even to Charlie Ward.
And
I
Charlie
was like,
Ward, did he believe in flat Earth up until he had David Weiss on his channel, or do you know?
no, that was never really the topic. It was not really talked about. But yeah, David Weiss was the one that brought it to that platform.
And just for the
So
record, Rachel also introduced me to the name David Weiss because I never heard of him before. She told me about him. Oh, we got to get David Weiss, which we did.
Yes.
But
That's
it's
awesome.
funny, like when you understand his background, and you see that he's been on this so-called conspiracy stuff for a very long time.
Yeah.
Then yeah, he's been around. So anyway, so that was like March 2021, and I didn't look much further into it because we're in the process of moving house and everything. And then as we were moving house, May 21, June 21, I was like, right, I've had enough of the C agenda, all the scamdemic stuff, all that chat. I've had enough. I'm going to look into flat Earth. So obviously I knew about David Weiss, so I started looking at more of his interviews with other people, and finding from there the different people he was interviewing, as well as he chats to people that don't know about flat Earth. He also chats to flat earthers, and through there I found out about Witsit, and ODD TV, which I'd never heard of, and obviously Santos Bonacci, all these people who, funnily enough, I just found out earlier on that he was ex-Jehovah's Witness, Santos Bonacci.
Right.
Do you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I knew that. I knew that.
It's he mentions it on the latest one of the latest Inspired interviews on the Inspired channel. He talks about it. I
Okay,
was
maybe
watching
you
it
could send me the
earlier.
link.
Yeah, I'll find
Yeah.
it to you and send it over. So yeah, I started looking at all their content, as well as looking at what David Weiss was talking about in his mini videos and everything. And one of the things he says is basically, look up at the stars, take a picture, go back a year later, and they'll be in the same place. So the Big Dipper was directly over my garage in June of 2021, and there it is, June 2022. It's exactly the same place as it was last year. Didn't take a picture, but I could reference the garage, and it's exactly in the same place. So obviously, since June 2021, since I moved house, I just look at flat Earth content and that, because it's actual science. So and there's so much to it. It's real history. It's hidden history. It's learning about perspective and all these things that, like he says on the interviews, they don't teach us this stuff at school.
No,
It was never
no.
taught to us at school. None of this stuff
Nope.
was ever taught. But it's really interesting. I've always been interested in nature, travel, everything that's kind of good and real. And this stuff makes sense to me. So I've got a drone, and did some tests myself.
Oh,
There's
cool.
a place. There's a place in where we go to in the south of the UK. It's called Poole, and it's the second largest natural harbour in the world. So behind Sydney's one, and I put my drone up 400 feet, right from there. Now from there, there was a sunrise, and there on the back of the Isle of Wight, which is from where I was in Poole, it's about 50 kilometers away or 35 miles away, and the height of the hill at the back of the Isle of Wight, there's like a cliff edge, is roughly 400 feet. So my drone was 400 feet, and the back end of the Isle of Wight was also roughly 400 feet, and
Level, yeah.
you could see it at eye level on this picture with the sunrise, because the sunrise was backlighting the back of the Isle of Wight. Now at that distance, at 35 miles or 50 kilometers, I think it would have had to have been behind like I don't know, it's like 200 feet, 300 feet of curvature. And it clearly wasn't.
Yeah, but it was looming. It was looming. That's the reason why you could see
Yes,
it.
It
It
was
was
a
refracting and it was
mirage.
looming.
It was a mirage.
So even now, I've just had a week in Devon, and where we were, there's a place called Lundy Island opposite Wollacombe Beach. It's kind of like a big surfers beach here in the UK. Funnily enough, the UK has a surfing communities in the southwest.
Oh, neat. You don't hear
yeah,
of it.
No, yeah. It's actually my favourite part of England is the southwest, Devon, Cornwall. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they are beautiful parts of England. Like amazing beaches,
Wow.
nice food, and yeah, it's
There's a ton of flat earthers in England, and I've heard them talk about all these places. So since
Yeah.
I've been listening to people with flat earth, you hear a lot about England. A lot of people do tests. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
Well,
you have
where we were,
David Weiss's app? Do you have the Zodiac and Sun and Moon app?
I do. Yeah, I got it pretty much. Once I started looking into it in those first couple of weeks in June 21, like properly looking into it, because I kept hearing like these other truthers talking about it, Jason Q, and they kept saying it, but I hadn't seen anything from. But I never like thought, I know that sounds ridiculous, because after my awakening in 2020, anything is possible. Yeah,
anything is possible at that point.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So I got the app at that point, and I've pretty much watched all the interviews since June 21 there, because I enjoy seeing Dave talk to people who are skeptical.
So do I.
All kinds of different people.
So do I.
Yeah.
And you learn the heliocentric model. That's the main thing. Learn the heliocentric model, and that's when you realize it's insanity. How he describes
prove it right.
It's all satanic. It's it's absolutely ridiculous. But then you actually start paying attention to the world around you. Like, I mean, I always did, photography, and I had a drone way before any of this. But then you start really seeing the surroundings around you. Like, there's not far from where I live, there's a place called White Horse Hill. There's a white horse there. You can't see it from where I'm at, but you can see the hills where it's at. And I noticed it. I was like, those White Horse Hills are just over there. I can see them now. Whereas before, they'd just be like distant hills in the background, and you wouldn't pay attention as to what they actually are. And so yeah, like going back to the week I just had in Devon, there's an island as well that was 30 kilometers away from the shoreline, called Lundy Island, and it perfectly lined up with the sunset. So a couple of nights I went out there, and when the sun went down, it went right in the middle of Lundy Island, which is 30 kilometers, 20 20 odd miles. And it should have been, 47 meters. I think I tested it of curvature. I don't know how many feet that is, 100 and something feet. But yeah, so you just start paying attention, don't you, to everything that's around you. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean,
It's like having new eyes.
Mhm.
it is having new eyes, and you feel kind of like at peace, knowing that okay, so I'll go to why I'm interested in chatting to you guys at XJW is like I said, before when we had the introductions, my family, my English side of the family are Jehovah's Witnesses, and but my dad isn't. He left when he was 18, and he's kind of been, like you say, shunned away from the family. There's been some contact, and we've had a few um, you know
Indoctrination.
few family things over as a child.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I've met them. I've seen seen them at certain events, but none for years, like none for since my adult life. And
And what was your takeaway from those types of events with all the witnesses gathering?
well, I was not aware of that. I was not aware of
Oh, okay.
they I was just a child kind of thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But what my take in of it is the whole shunning, like the
Mm.
and my dad is got couple of brothers, couple of sisters, and although they've had some contact, it's like they've pretty much disowned him.
And was your
So
dad disfellowshipped?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I think so, yeah. Um, so this is why I've had this, like I don't know anything about the religion. I don't know what it teaches. I've chose not to go down that path. Being half Italian, I was baptized a Roman Catholic. Decided at the age of 12 I didn't like it. I didn't want anything to do with it. Told my mum that, and basically I've been borderline atheist, I guess, non-believing of anything really, up until 2020, and then it hit me like, if this Satanist agenda is something, then there has to be, like, if the people that have
Wow.
all the power, they wouldn't have all this stuff if there
Yeah.
wasn't a
It wouldn't.
creator,
Yeah.
right?
Wow. So you came in through the back door then.
Yeah, yeah, I said, yeah. Like for me, it's been a
That's
very
wow.
very recent thing. So some I don't choose any religion because I think it's like a form of control,
Mhm.
from what I gather. But there are like in Genesis in the Bible, it says God's separated the waters from the waters. I've
Mhm.
read this when we went to the church at Christmas, even though that's a whole other. You find out about all these events that's all satanic in their own way.
Mhm.
But so yeah, I read some of the sentences on there, and I was just like, okay, so there has to be a creator, whatever that creator may be, and I think one of the sentences there, once you see my creation, you can't deny my existence. And then when you
Yeah.
when you actually look at the at how everything's intertwined, like all of nature, how like the monarch butterflies that fly from a certain place in the US to Mexico,
Isn't that
like,
astounding? Yeah.
yeah, that can't happen on a spinning ball hurtling through space. Right? It just can't happen. Like they just like that those monarch butterflies, whatever they're doing to get to where they need to go, they must be using the energy of the earth or the stars or something like to get where.
Magnetism or something like that.
Yeah. So, and there's lots of examples in nature that prove that this is an intelligent design system.
Yeah, and butterflies is a good example as opposed to just birds flying, because the same would apply there. But I saw some footage earlier of, you know, desert sands as far as the eye can see, and how still, you know, and it's just, with my new eyes, I haven't seen desert sands since I've come on to flat Earth. And it's amazing, because if you imagine a spinning ball, all those little particles of sand just perfectly in place, untouched, undisturbed.
Well, the deserts are a great example that the sun is doing the path, because if you look at the Tropic of Cancer, the Sahara, the Mojave Desert, the Mongolian Desert, you know, the Indian Desert in Rajasthan, all these deserts are all aligned with the Tropic of Cancer.
That's right.
And then in the Tropic of Capricorn, you've got the Kalahari Desert, the deserts in Bolivia, the deserts in Australia, and it goes around that way. So the deserts prove the flat Earth
model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the sun's path. You know,
sun's path, exactly.
it's doing that. So so yeah, so no, being now awakened to all of the deceptions, with you know, knowing where we are, also made me lose interest or not be so trusting of the political narratives that were going on, like you mentioned, the Trump stuff. So, like, you know, I went 100 miles an hour down the rabbit hole, and followed the 17th letter of the alphabet. You know, you know, yeah, all this, which, you know, it sounds great, but obviously the resident of the United States is you know, signing executive orders for biotechnology stuff, which you know, so
he's not been arrested yet.
no. Yeah. So and listening to the likes of ODD TV and Hibbler. I always forget his name. Is it Tony Hibbler? I always forget his first name. I always see it as Hibbler Productions.
Hibbler Productions, yes.
One of the members of ODD TV is Hibbler Productions. Is that right?
They're very good, man. They have quality.
No, they're two different people, but Hibbler made the level and the next level, and he had ODD TV.
Best documentaries. They're my favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're really especially the last one, the next level. You want, so what I've been doing is trying to awaken truthers to where we are, right? So like you say, forget the masses. If they can't see that what's going on in this world right now is an attack on their every right, you know, they find their own path, you know, especially with, you know, the C word stopped. The next day there was a war. As soon as that happened, I was like, right, I am done. I'm not gonna like try and work the whole
torture.
Ukraine thing out. Yeah, and then yeah, and then in the last few weeks, I'm sure you've heard the old lizard finally was announced and everything. So here is one of the reasons we went away from it, was the brainwashing and the constant is on every TV. It's everywhere. You go to a cash machine, there's a picture of her. You go to a shop, there's a picture. Or you
Oh
go to
man.
you go to.
It sure served as a huge distraction. To what exactly, I'm still not sure, but
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know either.
well, the thing with when this happens, this kind of stuff is going on. They in Parliament, they are putting acts in
they
place.
passed the act
Oh,
currently, the bills, yeah.
Yeah. So
yes,
there's a lot of
yes,
things going on, like the
yes.
schools bill, the online harms bill, all this kind of stuff is being put through, whilst on the mainstream everyone is worried about what's going on in with Putin and and making sure that everyone understands that the lizard has gone. Yeah, so here I am now, as just watching the world play out, but knowing it's a level plane, a created plane, and just hoping for the best. That's
Yeah, it's an important truth. And when people try and, discount it and say that it's not, basically they're
what
saying that they don't mind being lied to their whole lives and giving their own tax money towards those lies.
Well,
And
this is well, my way of thinking is, like, if truth-seeking people wake up to the reality of where we actually are, and they really give that the time of day, then they'll stop wasting their energy on political stuff that they don't have any control over, and it is all drama, and it is all designed to keep you distracted. So
Yes.
the more, like, I honestly believe what Dave says, that this is the one thing that when you wake up to, you truly detach yourself, and you say, you still got to live in the system, especially the
Yeah.
countries that we live in. It's almost near impossible to, especially in the UK. There's nowhere to go, really. we're a small little island, but yeah, you have to just live in the system, and
Yeah.
but not be involved in it, like not let
be free
I'm
from the matrix.
You know,
exactly.
and I love movie lines. You know how there's seminal movie lines that you kind of live by. Okay, so in the early 80s, there was this movie called War Games. You probably didn't see it. It was with Matthew Broderick, and it was a cheesy movie, but it had this very seminal line at the end. It was a computer that was trained, that was set up to do gaming, so that it could figure out strategy. And so it was also gaming global thermonuclear war, which I don't even believe that there are such things as nuclear weapons. But anyway, so it realized, so it played out all these nations, Russia, United States, going back and forth, and that there was really no winner. And he said, interesting game. The only winning move is not to play. And so that's the way I kind of approach everything now to do with this system.
Well,
I'm not playing.
That's it. It's like, the whole fear thing about World War III, nuclear war, all this kind of stuff is, once you know that they've all signed up to the Antarctic Treaty, and they've all signed up to the Jibby Wibble, then like they're in it. Everyone, not everyone, but like, all the hierarchy are in on this thing, on this
Yeah.
massive deception, and that's it. So, like you say, don't play the game.
It's
Get through
two
it.
wings of the same bird, right? If you're
Yeah.
voting, it's a waste of time. I was really proud when I came out of the religion to go and vote. And I think it's just maybe something that was on my bucket list as far as becoming an XJW. This is just something I got to do and feel good about it. And I voted for the most unpopular person to be running at the time. This
Castro.
was- well, no,
No.
gosh. We're talking Turdo. Yeah, no, I'm so glad. I actually didn't vote around that time. I was just coming out, and it was for the mayor that I voted. So that was the one time I voted, and I don't think I'll vote again.
No,
Because
yeah.
even back then, I knew that it was all by design. These people are chosen ahead of time. You know, the voting system is controlled.
Yeah.
People are puppets, and they're put into place by, you know, globalists, Klaus Schwab, and whoever else. So if Turdo does get replaced, it could be somebody worse than him, you know?
Well, yeah, we've just had a replacement, and she's listed on the World Economic Forum website as a
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all partners, they're
Yeah.
all members of the WEF, so that's all you need to know. But
So where do you think it's going? So where do y'all think this is all going? Can I ask you those questions?
yeah, good question for 80, because to go from atheist, which is like strictly
borderline atheist.
borderline, okay,
Yeah, I
fair
was.
enough.
You know, there was
Agnostic, maybe.
you know, like Ricky Gervais, he's a comedian. You know, I always found him funny.
Right.
And
Yes. Like him.
he would always say about that he's atheist and all
Yes.
this, and he also called out
Hollywood.
the Hollywood as well. But I'm now even skeptical about him as well. Like,
Well, he could be a
certain
little
things
bit of controlled opposition, a little bit of, you know,
Well, I
playing
There
think
you
both sides.
go.
he's
Yeah.
talked positively about the Jibby Wobbles.
Same with
Yeah.
what's his name? It's
Well,
not coming to mind right now, but yeah.
even with the announcement of
Elon Musk.
he's a fraud. Like yeah. Like I'm sure you've seen that 5-minute video. Well, I mean, he's pushing the Mars thing. You know that he's a fraud anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But and didn't he wear at a dinner party not so long ago in Latin, a white dinner jacket, and it said Nuovo Ordo Secorum.
Oh, New World Order, yeah.
Yeah, on the back in Latin. You know, I mean, they're just so in your face. It's just like if you're aware and awake to all of this, and I don't know if you see it on Facebook ads and all of this, the advertisements, you know, it's just
The
so
censorship too is really bad.
well. Yeah, the censorship is really bad, but like the agenda that we see, and you know, the whole AI world and all the transgender agenda, all of this is so in your face now.
It's
and
shoved
all
down
the
everyone's throats, yeah.
advertising is it's
Well,
just so obvious. But
it
They're
kind of
entertaining.
it kind of reminds me of like the who is it said all these Hitler and Stalin, they're all very quoted, and they say, tell a lie, make it big, and just tell it often enough, and to the people it's the truth. And so 95% of the world just don't think anymore. That's gone. So they're being slowly led along, and they're done as far as I'm concerned, as far as reasoning anything out.
Well, especially the types of lies that are being told right now that are so outlandish and so ridiculous, and these people still can't put the pieces of the puzzle together at this point. I mean, there's not.
Do you
Right.
think you know, these wars? I believe that World War One and World War Two were done obviously on
Based on
purpose.
Albert Pike.
Yeah,
Albert Pike, yeah.
to delete the history and create a history and a narrative.
False history.
And yeah,
Yes.
that those wars were done then. So it's kind of like, you know, you hear the 20s, the 1920s were a Great Depression. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, the
This is what
crash
we're
of
this is what
29.
we're going to go through now. You know, it's not going to be a recession. It's going to be a depression.
No,
Uh,
yeah,
in
it's
the
complete
West.
collapse.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like, you know, going back to the question, you know, what do I think is going to happen? I think there's two Agenda 2030s going on. There's the people that will survive this, their Agenda 2030, that know what was before, and obviously their Agenda 2030. And there's going to be victims in the middle, and who's going to come out on top? Well, because their Agenda 2030 on their side, on the horrible side, they need their little slaves to operate in their system, don't they? You know, but if the more of us reject it, the more of us push back and resist what they're trying to because it is like a free will thing. They do have like this karmic way of doing things. They tell you this is what we're
Yeah,
going to do, and if nobody pushes back, then they just continue.
That's right.
right.
So I think, you know, it'll come into a crossroads at some point. You know, so you know, we might have to go through some big, you know, big moments that I'm sure we've never experienced, maybe
I
to
think
get out
so.
at the other end.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
kind of like, you know,
Like
taking it for me.
cataclysmic events, just
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
taking life month by month. You know, you know, it's just like, what's the next thing?
Oh,
What's the next? You know, and not get consumed by it, because you know
Right.
that's what they want you to,
grab,
you know,
grab,
to live in.
grab the popcorn and
Yeah, just
Well,
be like still living outside of it while it's happening. Like you're on the outside looking in. Grab the popcorn. Exactly. Don't spend too much time being fearful, you know, because that's what they want.
exactly. You know, and you know, be active and meet the right people, and you know, and you know, do local activism, whether it's you know, related to flat Earth, or you know, just what current issues are going on, you know, within your
yeah,
local areas, because the more people
yeah,
pull together in local communities, I feel like that's a lot harder for them to control that, because I can't imagine everybody in every town and city at the top of, you know, the mayors in every town that is corrupted. You know, I'm sure there are good people there, and if they see
right.
injustices or whatever, then they'll push back, and then they're like, no, our community is suffering here. We don't want that here. So then that will be harder for them to deal with.
Mhm.
So yeah, obviously it's a big spider's web, but you know, you can break a spider's web.
So, so let me ask you now, since we all have the app with the friend finder,
Mm.
I have arranged to meet a couple of people on the 4th at a coffee shop here locally. So isn't
Nice.
that
Nice.
great?
Yeah.
And it's just local women that don't live far from me. So that's my plan, is to find, at least if I can find flat earthers locally. They already know so much. They're already on the same level. You know, we can communicate, we
No
can
pun
plan things
intended.
together.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah, the
Yep.
friend finder's good. I found a couple people I started chatting with that are close by too. Oh, you
What is
have
that?
that 16
Yeah.
Emergency landing.
I looked that up the other day and man, is it expensive.
yeah, well, you know what? I got it was my birthday recently in August,
Oh,
and I got some money in my PayPal account, so I just used it for that.
nice.
Um,
Did you read it?
yeah. I've read the first 3 flights, I think. But what's great about it as well is it has all the, you know, the flight routes and all the
The maps.
emergency
Yeah, that's
landings.
great.
Oh, wow.
But
Yeah.
at the back, which is a bonus, I didn't know about it. It will tell you about loads of other flat Earth stuff. You know,
Yeah,
like
that's a highly
these
recommended
maps.
book.
That map
Oh,
is
yeah.
fascinating map from an Italian guy. I forgot what's his
Yeah.
name. Urbano Monte from 1587, where it shows like sea creatures that are
Yeah. Now,
dragons and stuff.
I tell you what, who's a good YouTuber out. I haven't seen him in years. His name is Martin Leakey. Have you followed him? Have you seen what he has? Because
I've met him. I
Oh,
went
you
to
have?
yeah
Oh, cool.
in September. In September 21 last year, I went
Oh,
to a
nice.
Flat Earth conference in
Oh,
Birmingham,
wow, I'm jealous.
and yeah, I sat on the table.
I'm jealous just to go to a flat earth conference.
I am too, but you know what? I want to go to Flattoberfest, but this year I
Oh,
can't. But this year I can't do it. But because now that I'm coming out like that butterfly, I'm not going
Yeah.
back. And so I'm going to get involved in these things. But anyway,
yeah.
so you met them there in England. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So allegedly Dave Moore,
Oh,
he was on the table in front of me.
Dave Murphy.
Wow.
Right.
Mark, have you heard of Mark Devlin?
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah, he was there.
Oh, nice.
So Mark's from Oxford, and I used to live in Oxford, and I actually spoke at the Oxford Freedom Rally in January this year, because I ended up in hospital and for 6 days, and I was in a bad way, and they tried to finish me off with remdesivir.
No, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
How on earth did you escape?
Yeah.
I just stood my ground, even though I was very, very weak. For the first 48 hours, it was quite intense, and luckily I don't know if that word is censored on YouTube or not, but I typed in the R word on BitChute and watched a 17-minute video from Brian Ardis, Dr. Brian Ardis.
Oh yeah,
who
right.
Yeah.
He had his father-in-law
Yeah.
die in May 2020,
Yeah.
and he showed all the research in this 17-minute video, and literally whilst I was in the waiting room waiting for a bed, which I was in there for 9 hours, after 2 or 3 hours they'd already come in with the remdesivir and the drip, so they wanted to give me it straight away before I'd even got a real bed. So I'd watched that video, and then I was like, no, because I'd hardly said a word since it was the 28th of December to the 6th of January. I was basically in bed. I could hardly talk and eat or anything, and I was like, no, I don't want that. And then I just had like at least 10 doctors trying to do their sales pitches about me taking the R, and also another one called tocilizumab. I don't think the AI bots will get that pronunciation, but yeah. So yeah, they basically tried to get me with this for 48 hours. In the end, they gave up and just respected my decision. And in the end, the nurses were quite nice, and the one doctor that was then looking after me was nice as well. So I got out of there, but they were giving me the fear porn about going onto the ventilator and all this kind of stuff. So very
Both of those
surreal.
combined is
Did
deadly.
it feel like you were poisoned? Did it feel like it was some kind of foreign thing that you had never had before?
Oh, without a doubt, I've never felt that weak. I could hardly breathe. I needed the oxygen, and I still, still to this day, I'm like skeptical of the C word. It's never been isolated. That's
Right.
fact. There's been freedom of information requests, and they've never isolated the thing.
Mhm.
So, I probably just either had a very severe case of pneumonia. Well, they diagnosed me with severe C pneumonitis. Yeah, and he said it there, and yeah. So
Well,
you know,
that's
that's what happened. So
So they
yeah,
tested you and you tested positive.
well, that's the problem. You know, like I got taken away in an ambulance, and to get into the hospital, they test you, and I was you know, I was so weak that I was like, okay, fine, just the once. They
Just the
tested me
ones.
once in the ambulance, and then when I got into the waiting room, the nurse came in and did it again, and I said,
Oh,
I've already tested positive. Why are you doing it again? And she'd put another one up there, but she weren't as good as the not as good as gentle.
paramedic.
You know, like
No.
the second one just stuck it up my nose, and you know, I could smell it. I could smell the what's in
Oh,
there. So you know, I'm absolutely annoyed that that happened. But I said to them afterwards, like, you know, don't test me again. I'm not having it again. So yeah, so you know, that after what had happened in January, you know, I then, like I said, spoke at the Freedom Rally after Mark Devlin, and I've took a step back from, you know, posting stuff about any of what's going on, you know, because I used to, my Facebook, I used to post,
mhm.
get banned, post, you know, just now it's just like, no, you guys, you got your journey. If you can't see what's going on at this stage, fine. And then I'm just talking about flat Earth to truthers. I'm trying to
Yeah.
wake truthers up, you know, truth seekers, in that way. So, and I've shown many the door, and you know, some laugh at it, but until they see all of the content that I send them, and then that's it. There's game over. I'm actually booked in to speak to Dave on Tuesday night. So
Oh, great.
yeah,
So what
I've been.
channel?
It will be on Tiana Khalid's channel. Tiana has interviewed the likes of Ike, David Ike, and Gareth Ike,
how do
and
you spell that? How do you spell that name?
so Tiana, Tiana,
Yeah.
and then Khalid is Khalid, and
Okay.
yeah, she's I met her actually at one of the marches in
Cool.
2020, and yeah, she did some really cool Instagram videos, got her to have an interview with Charlie Ward, and then she's just gone on from there. She's very eloquent spoken, and you know, she's very good. She's quite young as well, so considering her age, she's in her mid-20s. You know, her goal is to wake up people in her age category, and from her, you know, her background, you know, to the truth of what's going on in this world. So I've been wanting to go on a chat with Dave, but with Tiana, for a long time. So we've been, but come on, get it booked. So it's actually happening now on Tuesday.
Wow.
Oh,
So is it going to be live streamed or is it going to be pre-recorded? Do you know?
I'm guessing Dave pre-records them.
he
I
does.
think, yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
there's
think.
the option of live stream too.
Yeah.
I guess most people just want to do pre-recorded.
Yeah, I think this
I
one will
chose
probably
it
be
too. Yeah.
pre-recorded. I'm actually going to bring on, if he joins, a DJ as well, who laughed at me when when I told him about it. But he's a you know, a freedom fighter, truth seeker. Who
But a
actually
skeptic.
well, he's just never looked at it, like, you know,
Right.
like
Right.
it's like me in 2021, you know, before I saw the interview with David Weiss and Charlie Ward, I was just like, people keep saying this, and I'm like,
Yeah. It
you
was
know,
popping up quite a bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like, since I've looked into it, you know, I've realized how big I think it's been since 2015, and I was like, you know, Now,
Yeah. I keep hearing that year too, 2015. A lot of people were waking up. A lot of information was
yeah.
coming out.
No, I was completely unaware of anything like that. Obviously, I was just too focused on my Manchester United football channels. You know, it's like, you know, was it bread and circuses?
Bread and circus.
Mhm.
So yeah. So yeah, that should be a good conversation. So yeah, if he jumps on as well, they will have some globy type questions, because you know, because I'm
Yeah,
all
that'd
in,
be fun.
and I'll kind of talk a little bit and let them ask the questions. You know what Dave's like, he'll just go on to his chatting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
should be
it's
good.
good to hear both perspectives. You know,
Yeah,
on
but you
the
know,
interviews.
Tiana should have some really good questions, and you know, Dave likes the tough questions. So Tiana will ask some tough questions, but you know,
So she's not a flat earther at this point then, huh?
she 50-50, like
Oh, good.
she sees some of the points, but then she does speak to other people that are on the whole intergalactic kind of rescuers, the Palladians and all of this, which is possible on a flat Earth, you know, past Antarctica. That's, you know, the extraterrestrials from the outer space past Antarctica, not from
Outer space.
you know, bases in Jupiter, which I've heard. I won't mention names, but I've heard. I don't know. You might have seen this guy's name pop up a lot recently. He's just come out from nowhere, and I gave 5 minutes of it, and all I heard was there are bases on Jupiter, and I was just like, right, switch off.
Usually the guys that come out of nowhere that get all this notoriety right off the bat, you know, those are the ones who were put there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh,
Like
yes.
this guy's just literally come out from nowhere, yeah, he's all over the place at the moment. So which I think is, you know, capture minds, you know. So, you know, like the ET stuff makes more sense on a level plane past Antarctica than, you know, trillions and trillions of miles away, coming, you know, landing in Roswell. Of all the places they could land, they'd land in Roswell in the United States, and it's all controlled by it's like,
You know,
There's no,
my view on it right now, because I believe that the Bible might just be telling us the truth. Okay, so if so, I think that we're like in an isolated room. And because like Jesus said, you know, in my Father's house, there are many abodes or many houses or whatever. So I can just picture that something happened here in this location. And I think it had to do with greed, with mining, with doing something like that. And there was this issue that came up, and this area got isolated. It's like a room that got isolated from the rest of whatever is out there. And we were all born into it. Who knows how? You know, Jesus was born into it. He had lived before, right?
Mhm.
And then he lived after. Who knows? Maybe the same is true with us. So maybe we're born into it, into this isolated room and this situation, and we have to try to work out for ourselves what's going on here. And then I think at a certain point, the room is going to be opened up, and then everything's going to be okay. It got settled. This issue is settled. Let's all go and enjoy, you know, whatever is out there. Because I think Tartaria. Do y'all know about Tartaria? Those buildings.
Yeah,
Okay. So
watching Martin Liedtke, you know, goes through a lot of that.
For me, nobody built those things. For me, they're 3D printed, and the red bricks are all pixels. I mean, we could be in a simulation, but if it's physical, maybe it's just physically 3D printed in a circuit board with the free energy. That's how the free energy works. It's set up like that.
Yeah, I
So-
just started to hear about this too, today actually, with data being stored and that we're in the simulation.
Well, you can
Uh,
store lots of terabytes of information in a drop of water, apparently.
Right.
That's what I've heard. And if you
Right.
look at the star forts, the star forts are everywhere.
Yeah, and
They
all that
are-
technology is mimicked after nature too,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's possible.
And it's how they've not only have they captured numbers like the satanic numbers, the 666 and that, but also I think is on Ewaran on it. It shows how they've made the Nazi sign. They've made that
Yeah.
a bad
Right.
thing.
The swastika.
Obviously.
Right.
Yeah, the swastika.
Yeah.
They've made that a bad thing, but what that could actually mean is the Earth's movement from the North Pole, like that, how the energy is coming up from the North
Right.
Pole. Like the Hindus use the same swastika. Well, I don't think
Right.
it's called swastika in Hindu, but it's the
Exactly.
same thing. So it's everywhere in India. I've been there a few times. So they've made that sign bad in the West, and also the pedo sign, the little swirl.
The triangle blue swirl.
Not that more like the circle one. Like I think yeah, it could be that, but even that apparently that's is it the Fibonacci sequence? I don't know if that's the right-
Oh.
that's in all of nature, like a snail.
Oh,
like
you mean that
this-
spiral? That spiral.
spiral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Fibonacci sequence. Yes.
Yeah. So they've made that a bad thing. So
Oh, wow.
you don't look at nature in that way. You don't associate it that, because you see that sequence and you think, oh god, that's
Yeah. Okay.
Rainbow.
Okay. So if y'all can indulge me for just a second, there's when you mentioned the 666, and we're talking about the DNA, the things potentially changing the DNA. So have y'all done any of the research into how our DNA right now, as we were born, actually has God's name encoded in it, according to the Hebrew?
Yahweh.
Yes. There's like
Yeah.
three things that I just looked at today. One of them is in the chemical composition. That's one. The sulfuric bridge that binds the helix, those little bridges that go across, those also translate to God's name. And also, this was one I just came across last night. On each side of the helix, there's 72,000 genes from the mother and 72,000 genes from the father. And of course, they twist around, right? So put that together and it's 144,000. That sounds familiar, right? 144,000?
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Okay. Now this is the thing. Once they're changing that DNA, it's putting a third strand. I heard you mention 80. I heard you mention the 3-strand DNA. The Queen of England just did that lighting ceremony 3 months ago.
Oh yes.
Right?
Yes.
And did it, okay.
The DNA
So this is the thing. It adds another 72,000 genes into it. So what is 72 plus 72 plus 72,000 is 216,000, right? Okay. So get it? Okay. So now if we go to Revelation 13:18, and it said that the number of the mark of the beast, the number is, it doesn't say 666. It says 600 and then 60, what does it say? Oh, let me read it. Yes, that's it. The number is 600, 6, which is 600 and then 60 and then 6. So if you add those up, sure, it's 666. But if you multiply them, guess what it is? Multiply 600 times 60 and then times 6. Guess what that is?
216,000.
216,000.
Wow.
Wowzer.
Like,
Did you come up with that on your own, Rachel?
No. I saw that on a video last night during the middle of the night. And that's
Okay.
like, You
There's
know,
just
so
more numerology. It goes deep too. This numerology, it's applied everywhere.
well, it's
And
actually changing the DNA from God's name.
Yes.
That's why this is an important issue. So that's one thing that the Bible does get right. And that's what Jesus said, to sanctify God's name. Well, we don't do that by saying a mistranslated name and applying that to something that doesn't exist. We do it by making sure that our DNA is not changed, so that
Yeah.
we are saying our loyalty to our Creator the way He created us now, and not letting His enemy change our DNA.
That's right. And it's protecting your holy temple, and how if you go against protecting your holy temple, you will be destroyed. That's what it says in the Bible. It's pretty black and white. So any religions that are pushing it and endorsing it and coercing their members, they're part of that genocide. They're you know, they're responsible for a lot of deaths.
Yeah, and it is a significant issue. And I think when the roof is lifted off this situation, and everything is brought into the open, then that is going to be the issue. That's what's going to be my new research. I'm gonna try to focus more on this, you know, and flat Earth too. But it's like, this is important for a reason right now. This is significant for me. So I don't know.
Well, it's like taking the mark too, because once you take the mark, there's no going back. You can't just be forgiven and change your mind and get rid of the mark. Once you take it, that's it. That's what the Bible says too, right?
Well, there's a big discussion on that, about if people are being deceived, you know, because people had the chance to research it just like all of us did. I mean, none of us were going to go anywhere near that jibby jab, because we understood that something was hinky with it. Well, if it changes your DNA, that's pretty significant. And who's that significant to? It's significant to the one who created us this way.
It's like a slap in the face to God.
Yes.
It's denying him as a creator. And that's what that scripture says too, is because we're made in his image, and the temple of our spirit body, our physical body is made in his image. And to destroy that is basically ending it all. It's end game.
Exactly.
And the scripture too about defiling the flesh, you know, 80, you can get disfellowshipped from this religion for having a cigarette or drinking too much, you know, over drinking, things like that.
Right.
But taking this thing.
What about tattoos? Tattoos.
No tattoos. Again, they use the same scripture, defiling the flesh. Although with tattoos, I've come across some things too, you know, with the mercury and ingredients that get into the bloodstream.
I've never.
I'm a little skeptical though. Although it would have been on my bucket list as an XJW to run and get a tattoo, but now I'm rethinking it with some research that I've done there. But
yeah, I've heard there's some bad things in tattoos. Like, obviously, it's staining your skin for life.
But, you know, you could probably detoxify from that too. But with this whole thing with changing the DNA and altering the body in such a way and destroying your natural immune defense, that's probably more destructive than anything else I can think of. And just because people aren't passing out and dropping dead right away, that doesn't mean the damage has already started. It's already started.
Do you find people like more not aggressive, but colder, or like
colder, more shut off?
Yeah.
I would even go as far as call it zombified. Less critical thinking, more quick to shut down something, an idea, not open. It's harder to talk to those ones. It's harder. It's almost like they're so far gone after the third or fourth that it's almost there. It's like they're impossible to reach. but there's
Yeah.
something in the soul there's something in their soul that changed. And
Oh,
it's
for sure.
apparent,
Yeah.
and everybody can see that too. A
Wow.
lot of people are pointing these things out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, there's definitely well, that's what I know for a fact is it's taken your soul away. It's like you say, it's
Like a
changing
darkness.
the DNA, God's DNA.
Yeah.
Um,
You remember one of the first guys who took it for
William
when there was
Shakespeare.
the rollout. He's
William
Oh
Shakespeare.
yeah.
Do you
No,
remember
no,
that?
he didn't last long, did he?
The world's a stage, and
Oh, the
yeah,
world.
he died.
Yeah, and then you didn't hear about that example again. It was you know,
Yeah,
but
he died. Well, you know, that David Weiss says he never existed, and you know,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I you know, I trust his research, and that's probably the truth. Like the world's a stage. The guy that says the world's a stage, and
Well, if
you
you
know, being in England, you know, Stratford upon Avon is Shakespeare country, and having this whole area dedicated to a guy that never existed, just it's just like Father Christmas. It's just so such a it's actually quite hilarious having this information. In a way, it's like you know, the elite or the delete look at the population. It's kind of like if we us knowing this information now, it's kind of like knowing what they know. you know, and
yeah.
just looking at everything and thinking, crikey, this is this is all a show. Like, and they go home and they know the truth of this world. It's kind of like we're having to deal with that
Well, I'm pretty sure they
without the money.
know, they know more at least about what they're hiding, you know, like beyond the walls of Antarctica, our true map.
Yeah, that for me is the most fascinating thing about it all is
Yeah.
is the potential of other lands just not that far away from Antarctica, or even, you know, Antarctica itself. You know, there's there could be cities there. There could be populations that are living there. You know, more inland,
Yeah.
away from, you know, the colder bits. And I did
We're
see
in a
some.
prison. We're being imprisoned.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, where did the 800,000 children go each year? You know, that's
Oh wow, yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, I
you know, and
remember hearing a statistic as to how many of those children are found. But who's to say? That's way too many kids. And especially within the foster system too. There's some sketchy stuff that goes on, and they're involved, which is pretty sad, you know, with the human trafficking. That's a whole other thing.
well, yeah, like, you know, you've got all these dams, the dams, right? So if they're all across the earth, who's to say that they're not going into Antarctica, beyond it, and into
I've
other
thought
lands?
about that too.
Yeah.
So like tunnels where they go underground and get through it easily, and maybe even
Well,
systems for them to
yeah, because
go through the land, right?
because the mud flooding of Tartaria, who knows, probably most of the structures are underground now because of the mud level that, you know, that we're at above. You know, who knows what they've got underneath.
Oh yeah, it's more extensive than we even know or realize.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure of it, because it's funny that they say they can't fly the planes over because the fuel would freeze. Yet right now they're claiming that they can fly through the Van Allen belts with this Orion mission now, and I mean they can do that, no problem.
Well, and the
Extreme
homeless
cold
tweaker in the homeless tweaker shelter sitting up there on the moon, and the gas didn't freeze in that. Give me a break.
Yeah, and the penguins, let's not forget, right?
The
They,
penguins, yeah,
they
yeah.
can withstand
So the
it. Their
penguins.
blood doesn't freeze. They're
There you
happy
go.
little penguins.
Yeah,
But no, that makes sense though. Underground tunnels going through, because let's face it, it's really cold in Antarctica. Why would they want to travel?
well, they might only have to get past a certain part, and then it becomes warmer. I've seen a footage of Admiral Byrd where they show it's
Yeah.
like an old documentary, and it's not nothing. It's not nothing to do with flat Earth. It's just more about the, I think it was Operation High Jump.
Operation
And,
High
the-
Jump.
the-
Yeah.
Yeah, the footage from that and how they're talking about it. And they
I've
actually
only
shot.
seen footage. I haven't watched the whole thing. I don't know if the whole thing is available, the documentary.
Yeah, I found it somewhere not that long ago. I can't remember where like, but yeah, there's one clip in there where they show land where it's all, you know, lakes and green, and you know it's still like cold around the edges, but
After
it
they
was.
pass Antarctica with the ice, they discover, so there's footage of the land that they found too, eh?
Yeah, there was
know
like
Admiral Byrd-
pockets of land where it was not covered in ice and not snow, so you could see around that it was ice around, but then there was like lakes and green mountains in the middle of it. So
Yeah.
you know that's probably not that far inland, and then after that it could get warmer. There could be another sun out there.
Exactly.
There's one
Exactly.
film, I can't remember what film it is, but ODD TV covers it in one of his, you know, does like the flat Earth reference in TV and movies, and one of them is where it's at the end of the movie they go through like some ice, and they look through the ice and they see another sun, and they've just escaped a world to then go through this ice, and then they see another sun and another world. So I think that's what's out there is that potential, like, you know, like other lands, other worlds.
Yeah, that's that
having
Martin Kenny egg thing. It's that Martin Kenny egg thing. Yeah.
Yeah, having all that kind of thing going on.
I
So-
believe that there would have to be other suns and moons for there to be that much land, extensive
Or
passage.
maybe other things that, you know, like we have no idea what the moon is and what it, you know, what is the moon. So there might be other like systems in that do different things. There could be 2 suns and 3 moons doing different things in that certain makeup of whatever's going on there. And then another thing, you know, there's a bit far out there, but you know, if you see all the brainwashing of dinosaurs and unicorns and Pegasuses and all this kind of stuff that they show children, right? Who's to say that these mythical creatures actually exist, but in other lands, from the other worlds? So but you know, we may not have had dinosaurs on this land. I don't, you know, because I don't believe that to be true, but they could be ideas that they've found from the other worlds, and they
Right,
show
and
us
the real
they
bones that they have that they're hiding may not be from our plane that's accessible.
Exactly.
And they bring it
Yeah.
over. That's a good theory, actually.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that they show us all this stuff that we think it's all fantasy stuff that, you know, is made up, mythical, all of this, but actually, or it could have been here and then it was pushed away to oh, what's happened here? I've lost you.
I would love to see a unicorn fly over Antarctica, and that would be awesome. The things that we haven't discovered yet.
Well, if
know
you look
what?
at all the old buildings, and especially here in the UK, there's all these like goblin creatures and all
Yeah,
this.
right.
And it's
What's the
like,
deal
Yes.
well,
with that?
what are they
Yeah.
about? Like, you know, like it's not like it's not in the time that these buildings were built. It's not like someone's thought of, well, I'll design a goblin, and we'll put them everywhere. You know, it's like they must have had these creatures there or known about them from somewhere to for it to be
That's
ever
why
like
that's why
dragons
I
as well.
think that's why I
Good
think
point.
that these buildings with all the statues and all these Tartarian things are actually someplace else, but they were 3D printed and put here, you know, for this experiment or whatever, so that this could be sealed off. I mean, to me, when everything gets opened up, all those things are going to have already existed in whatever is outside this little room that we're in. That's how I see it anyway. I don't so much see it as anything past Antarctica, except for that we're sealed off. We'll never get past Antarctica. No human of us normies are going to be able to get past Antarctica in this system.
Unless the 99% takes down the 1%, then maybe.
Yeah, but 95% of the people are so brain dead that they're
Brainwashed.
going along. It'll never happen.
I know.
It'll never happen.
But never say never, because the more people, you know, who are awake.
Okay, never say never.
The Great Awakening can reach a lot of people, and that can grow. And who's to say where we're going to be? Because, I mean, we have to rely on ourselves to do that, and God, I would think. If 80, you know, if you're entertaining the idea, obviously now, of a creator, you know,
for
how
sure.
the truth
No
comes to
religion,
light.
but
And that's what's happening right now, is the truth is coming to light. Maybe not for everybody, and not everybody can be saved as far as that goes. But I think there's a hope as far as that goes. What is your hope? What do you see happening with how the light at the end of the tunnel will prevail?
you know, it would be amazing if good ideas could actually be put to fruition, where, you know, free energy systems and growing healthy food and people living in communities, and just help rebuild the damage that has been caused, is being caused right now. Because for me, it's not like, it will just be, yeah, this is what's been going on and now it's going to be great. There'll be a transitional period of time where, if that was mass knowledge, that this is what was the world and how it was controlled by these secret societies, as the rebuilding, and that the teaching and getting past all of that hardship, because a lot of people are suffering right now. Billions of people are suffering right now. To then get, you know, in 100, 200 years time, a world where everyone is living in peace, like potentially the Tartarians did. And, you know, like, as you can see in the star forts and the buildings, you know, it's, you know, I'm sure there was bits of crime, but it looked like everyone lived in peace and in energy and food. And, you know, I'm sure that was all taken away.
It was taken away, and it was suppressed.
It's going to take a long time to get back to that kind of bliss, but, you know,
but it's possible.
Of course it's possible. It is possible, you know, like this, if those sort of civilizations were taken away, then we can take away this satanic civilization that's you know, happening. You know, it's in everything. It's in all our advertising, our food, everything.
It has an expiry date, I think, this system.
Yeah.
We just
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
don't know the
I
date.
agree with that.
Sure, but, you know, it probably won't be immediate. It's just
It's not going to
We-
be an overnight thing, but
no,
yeah,
just like you know, their plans take, you know, they've been planning
Yes.
this situation for a very long time. I think there was a NASA document that showed they were planning on doing the biochipping by 2025, and we're in 2022, and
Yeah.
Biden resident just signed an executive order for this biosecurity stuff. So you know, it's people need to see this stuff to now stop it, because I'm sure people won't just, even the masses, I'm sure, when it comes to, oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna put a chip in your brain,
yeah.
I don't think
But at
they'll
the same
totally accept
time,
that.
these people are they're becoming less conscious of their own reality and so wrapped up in the lies, and their
This is
health
yeah,
inhibited, their thinking inhibited, that when we get to the point after so many boosters,
yeah.
they'll jump on anything.
Like I
They'll
said, yeah,
agree.
that there's going to be a lot of victims over time. There already has been millions of victims, I think, in these last few years,
Yeah.
and it'll keep coming. But then as time goes on, people will really see it, and you know,
Yeah.
the ones who didn't go down that road are the ones to take it forward, I think. But
Yeah.
like I say, I think it's not an immediate thing. I think it could. I said 10 years, 2 years ago. It could be another 10, 20 years. How it all changes, but a better.
That's even more promising than 100 or 200 years, though.
Well,
And
yeah, we'll have. Obviously, we live in a technological time, so we would have assistance with you know, speed things up. You know, technology as you know, it can do good things. You know, we wouldn't be having this conversation without it. It's with the knowledge.
I agree with that.
You know, the knowledge that we've been able to find out over the last few years, or
Yeah.
for your case, Rachel, a long time ago, since
Yeah. If
you
it
know,
wasn't for the internet, yeah.
exactly.
And also this therapy that I feel like this is therapy right now for me, because otherwise I couldn't talk to anybody around me, you know. And I'm so glad that I'm meeting these other two flat earthers this next week or so, because I would just go crazy if I didn't have you guys to talk to online. I would
Well,
absolutely go nuts.
I don't know how many people will view this conversation, but I've done a few of these YouTube chats before. You know, I've been on with Charlie Ward and Nicholas Vinyamin, and I've seen some of the comments, and it reaches people, you know, all across the earth, and
Yeah.
there'll be people that, like you say, might not have anyone around them that will watch this and feel like, oh, these are the kind of thoughts and feelings that I have. So, you know, this is why I'm happy to go on and have these kind of discussions, is it just might help people somewhere that
yeah,
you know,
even if
stuck
it's
in the
one or
middle of
two.
Nebraska or something.
Exactly. That's the whole point of this, is to reach the type of audience that are similar and are on the same wavelength, but feel the same way, or maybe they don't have anybody to talk to, and then they come across a conversation like this, and then it just opens up that valve. And you know, there's a lot of people who are thinking this way, talking this way, and there's a whole community that's based around these types of awakenings. And you know,
I tell you a funny thing. A couple of months ago, on my other holiday, I went to a place called Talon Bay in near Polperro in Cornwall. Beautiful place. And I was just leaving the beach. We'd been there all day, there with my family, and these two women and a child turn up, and they're quite, London, very London, the way they're talking, the way they're dressed. And this girl goes, "That tree, that's I don't know, that's a petrified tree." It's like, looking at the rocks, and I was like, "Hold on a minute, are you talking about?"
Wow.
I just went up to her straight away and went, "Hold on a minute, you talking about Tartaria and stuff like that?" She was like, yeah, that's definitely like a
Oh,
petrified
just from walking down the
the
path
beach,
or the
the
street
beach.
or the beach.
Because she
It
has
was on the beach,
because
and
she
it was,
has new eyes too, and I'm sure she's a flat earther too.
well, yeah, we had that conversation in the end, but
Wow.
had we walked down a street and I seen these two women and the child, I would
You never would have thought.
assume that she would have no idea about this stuff.
Yeah,
But
concrete
that's it, like,
jungle blocks it off too, right? Yeah.
So
When you're
yeah,
out
like,
in nature, you're more connected to those things too. That's another thing, is that just living in cities and, people doing their day-to-day thing and concrete technology, people staring at their phones.
exactly. But then, yeah, when you start learning about Tartaria, and I've been to London a few times since, and I look at all these buildings, and I see the little dome things
You
on the
have
top.
some of those preserved over there, right?
And the little
Oh, yeah,
windows along the sidewalk.
Yeah, on the bottom,
Yeah, there's
coming up from the ground.
but excuse me, it's everywhere here. Like, even there's a place called Cheltenham that has all these like buildings that don't make any sense really, from what the story of how they got there
Yeah.
has been
Stories
told.
don't make sense.
So yeah,
It's
so
very neat.
Hey, listen, guys, I've got to go feed my husband. He's looking in, going, "Where's my food?"
Yeah, you guys, it's been almost 3 hours, but it was an awesome conversation, and I'm glad you guys were able to make it. Hopefully we can get Craig on for the next time. I haven't heard back, so maybe he's going through a severe power outage. But yeah, I'd like to feed myself too, and then my kids as well, and
I need to go to bed.
get the evening, and you
Yes,
need to probably
you go to bed.
hit the sack pretty soon. It's getting late over there. I see
It's 10 to midnight.
black
Oh
outside
my.
the window there.
Mm.
Well, it was
Yeah.
awesome chatting, and hopefully we can do this again too, because it's always fun to talk.
It was fun.
Great.
Very therapeutic. Thank you, AD.
Yes, it
Thank you.
was.
No worries. No
All
worries.
right, well, you
It's
guys
very,
have a
very
good night
All right.
and
Take care.
sleep.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you.
Take
Thank you.
care. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.